Greetings, it's Mrs. Marcellus and Baratosthenes again. We decided to take a break from the sun and talk about this last leg of our mathematical Bermuda Triangle. Baratosthenes says that he's feeling a lot better now that we've already tackled 2 legs, and he's really anxious to get this last one done so he knows that we are safe and haven't gotten lost in there. So let's go ahead and proceed with percents and decimals. Today's learning objective: students will write percents as decimals and decimals as percents by applying the definition of percent, remember our anchor from the last lesson, and their knowledge of place value. When going from a decimal to percent, we're going to multiply by 100. This is going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. When going from a percent to a decimal, we will divide by 100. This is going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. Are you ready to try some examples? All right then, let's begin. To go from a percent to a decimal, we apply the definition of percent. A percent is a ratio that compares a number to 100. We can first write the percent over 100. And then in order to turn this into a decimal, we can just look at it and know it's 78 hundredths, or 0.78. We also could actually do the division of 78 divided by 100, because we also know that every fraction is a division problem. If you do this division, you will also end up with 0.78. You can see that the decimal in 78 started to the right, because in a whole number the decimal always comes directly right of it, and it moved over 2 places to the left. Every time we convert a percent to a decimal, the decimal is going to move 2 places to the left because we are dividing by 100. It will move 2 places, only 2 places, exactly 2 places, no more than 2 places, and no less than 2 places, but 2 places to the left. To the left, percent to decimal, you move the dot to the left. Write 17% as a decimal. If you want to, you can always set the percent over 100 as a reminder by applying that definition of percent. And then we know that this is 17 hundredths, or you can do the division and you'll end up with 0.17. If you don't want to write out that step, that's okay too. We start with 17%. And the decimal is to the right of the 7. We know that we will always be dividing by 100 when converting a percent to a decimal, so we move the decimal 2 places left. To the left, percent to decimal, you move the dot to the left, and that will give us 17 hundredths. Moving along to our next example, we have 2%. As always, we can write it over 100, and we can see that we have 2 hundredths. These are the ones you have to be very careful on. Students often have a tendency to write this over 10 instead of 100, but by definition, a percent is always over 100, and the decimal will always move 2 places to the left. If we take a closer look at doing this without writing the ratio, we have the decimal to the right of the 2, and we'd have to move it 2 places to the left. In order to complete the problem, we will have to add a 0. Then we will arrive at our answer of 0.02, or 2 hundredths. In a recent survey, 9% of travelers said they feared flying through the Bermuda Triangle. Write this as a decimal. Well, first we start with our percent, which is 9%, and we can write that over 100. And see that we have 9 hundredths, or 0.09. Or we can simply start with the number 9 and move the decimal 2 places to the left, and also end up with 9 hundredths. Let's try going the other direction. To write a decimal as a percent, we are going to multiply by 100. This will move the decimal 2 places to the right. I can write the whole thing out and use my knowledge of decimals and fractions and write 98 hundredths as 98 over 100. And of course we know that a number over 100 is a percent, and so that gives us our answer of 98%. To make that multiplication by 100 happen, and to get rid of that denominator of 100, we would have to multiply this fraction times 100 over 1. If I put 100 over 100, it actually equals 1. So that means that these two will cancel each other out, leaving me with 98. Of course, we're not going to want to do that for every single problem. I just wanted to show you how it works and why it works. We can simply start with our decimal number, and knowing that we're going to be multiplying by 100 and that will move the decimal 2 places to the right, we can simply move the decimal 2 places to the right to get our answer of 98%. In this case, you could sing to the right, decimal 2%, you move the dot to the right. Let's try another example. Here we want to turn 49 hundredths into a percent. You can always take that step of writing the decimal out. In this case, it's 49 hundredths. And then we'd have to multiply by 100 over 1 to get our answer of 49 over 1, or 49%. But again, we probably don't want to do that when we can simply just move the decimal. And again, we would go to the right. For decimal 2%, you move the dot to the right, and we get 49%. In this problem, we have 7 hundredths. I think you're getting the idea, so I'm not going to write the whole thing out by putting it over 100 and doing the multiplication. I'm simply going to move my decimal 2 places to the right. Because I'm multiplying by 100, I know that the decimal will move 2 places to the right, and it will give me an answer of 7%. Most of the population of Bermuda was born there. This is 75 hundredths of the population. Write this as a percent. Again, when converting a decimal to a percent, we move the decimal 2 places to the right because we're actually multiplying by 100. This means we would start with our original decimal of 0.75 or 75 hundredths and move that decimal 1, 2 places to the right, and that is 75%. With learning how to convert between decimals and percents, we've completed the third leg of our Bermuda Triangle. Just because we've completed the third leg of our mathematical Bermuda Triangle, that doesn't mean our journey is over. In fact, it's really just beginning. So far, we've set the foundation. We can easily now convert among the different representations of rational numbers, fractions, decimals, and percents. We also have a couple key things we can fall back on if we get a little bit lost in doing these conversions. First, we always need to remember that every fraction is a division problem, and second, we look to our anchor, which is the definition of percent. Stay tuned, and we'll see you soon.